When you invest in technology, you can unleash massive opportunities for your business. It could possibly transform your business. Knowing what is available and how you can leverage it is crucial for success. In this episode, we will show you how to stay ahead of the curve on leveraging new technology for your business and why it's important. Welcome back to the Nebraska Entrepreneur, the podcast for Nebraska entrepreneurs who seek candid guidance from Midwest leadership. I'm Steve Canny, and I've been a successful entrepreneur in Nebraska for over 20 years, helping and mentoring entrepreneurs and business leaders across the country. Do you know what technology is available to you that you might already be paying for? What are some of the simple things you can do to leverage this tech? What simple or big things anyone can do to improve their business through efficiencies and automation? Today, you will learn how to stay ahead of the curve by leveraging new technologies for your business. Joining us is my friend and serial entrepreneur, Gordon Whitten, who has developed several tech startups into successful businesses. Gordon, thanks again for being on another episode of the Nebraska Entrepreneur. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So today, one of the topics that we'll talk about is adopting technology or technology platforms in your business and how you use it. And, that's with my business, I see it all the time. We do a lot of consultation with businesses, small to medium. So we're usually talking to the owners or someone who's the owner's right-hand person about their technology needs and how you can leverage the technology you already have and the technology that's available to you. Yeah. Even simple things like cloud-based applications, right? Most everything now that used to be on-prem is now cloud-based, but you've started many successful businesses. You're an industry disruptor, as we've talked about in the past, with innovation. But in your businesses, once you start your business, whether it's Sojourn or ScoreVision, how do you stay on top of just making sure that as a business yourself, you're not only building new technology, but you're utilizing existing technology, whether it even be, with your development down in Ralston with your payment systems as an example, right? I don't know what you use for a POS system, but when you think about that, there's so much out there.
Right. Well, thanks for asking that. POS systems is a good example, and a lot of people are familiar with, point of sale systems. Well, that used to be a thing where you had to buy really expensive hardware that had software in it and connect it to a server on your own site, and you paid a lot of money for that because it gave you a lot of value. It went from old-fashioned cash registers to now I can do reports and I can, it calculates my taxes and all these other things, right? So it was a phenomenal first step of the innovation cycle. But now the product that's kicking butt, which is a huge public company that people can go out and look at the stock on, is called Toast. And what Toast did is said, okay, when the time came that these cloud innovations were happening, they said, what if we created the cloud platform? And even though the old ones were trying to add a cloud to theirs, right? They said, nope, we're starting from scratch, building it as though it's cloud from day one. And so Toast has pretty well become by far the prevailing product. Just last night, one of our businesses, we own Bushwhackers in Ralston. It's part of our granary project. And I'm not involved in day-to-day management of it, but I check the numbers, right? And what I do is I go to the Toast app or I log on to Toast at my house and bang, there's a sales report for last night. There's what we sold. Here's what we sold by every product. Here's how much we made every product. Here's how many people came in the door. It's all possible because it's instantaneously transferred to the cloud on perfect architecture, designed for the business owner to have it at a moment's notice, right? Yep. So Toast is one great example.
Yeah, we some of our clients have POS systems or some of our prospective clients that we've consulted with, and some of them still have server-based POS systems, and they've invested so much money into that that they just can't in their brain reconcile moving away from it, even though they would probably see huge ROI if they just said, nope, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to just move away from that.
Yeah.
But when I was thinking about this topic, the POS systems came to mind as one of the more classic examples.
Yeah. Well, another example, almost everybody's been at Nebraska Furniture Mart, right? Mm-hmm. You go to Nebraska Furniture Mart to buy something, unless they've changed it in the last year or so since I bought from them, my last set of stuff. They have the most archaic looking screens.
They do.
And it looks like it was DOS or something.
Yep.
And
the Weiss terminals. DOS,
And you watch these people click through, it's almost comical in the modern era, right?
Yeah.
And this is a huge company, and obviously they've thought about it, and obviously they know what they probably want to do.
Yep.
And there's some reason they haven't, right? Because they're so embedded into everything or something. But but if you don't adopt it, guess what? Your costs are going to be higher.
Yep.
Right?
Sure.
That's the bottom line.
At the end of the day.
And your customer performance is going to be lower.
Yeah.
And that's hard to keep a business running with those two things.
Yeah, I think, when you talk about retail experiences, well, actually, I want to comment. I think it's funny with Nebraska Furniture Mart. Sometimes I wonder if that's a real thing, or they just put that as the user interface, even though there's amazing technology behind it. But they do, because people are looking at the screen, customers, and they don't want too much information.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's all a trick.
I've been meaning to ask, but but when you talk about customer experience, right? You mentioned you go into an Apple store.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple builds technology, but of course they have one of the best customer experiences that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? You go in a store and you no longer have to, there's no cash registers.
Yeah.
Right? You walk in and you say, I need this, and they're holding their phone and they can, and you're in and out of there like that.
Yeah.
They don't, it's just somebody runs the back, they pull it, so that to me is why any business, right, should be leveraging technology, because it really does not only improve efficiency, but your customer experience.
Yeah. Apple has been a magical company for a long, long time, and Warren Buffett's made many, many billions off of it with his timely investments he's made in it. But they rethought the retail experience basically end to end, and they built the retail experience around technology rather than the other way around. That's almost like taking the POS concept to a whole new level.
Right.
Interesting though, you bring up Apple, because as much as Apple's been successful at that in the past, they currently have one big failure, and that failure is Siri. Compared to what Siri should do versus what it does, and they know it. And they're getting hammered in the stock market because of it right now, because everybody knows it shouldn't work like that anymore. It should work like ChatGPT, right? You should be able to ask that thing anything. It should be able to send an email when you say, send an email to Steve Canny, about my invoice or something, right? You should be able to push the button. It's all in your phone. They have it all there. It should do that instantaneously, and they know it. It's not like they don't.
Yep.
But I think the mountain is so high, and they're still struggling with, they didn't invent the technology, so they have to partner with somebody to provide the back end to it. They've just not gone the extra mile, and it's hurting them right now. Google might pass them by in that area, and if it does, it might change the game.
Yeah, well, Alexa's much more dynamic than Siri.
Yeah, exactly.
It does frustrate.
Everybody knows it too.
It does frustrate me. Talk more about AI. I know you're leveraging that a lot, and again, most business owners, I hope most business owners, founders, are paying attention to AI and have some sort of strategy. Can you share a little bit more about kind of your vision, where you think AI is, where it can help most businesses, just even basic, simple things without huge investments?
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of things that can be done for almost no money. If you're not using ChatGPT or, Grok or one of the other, LLMs right now, every day, a lot, you're just simply behind the times. And I hate to be, that direct about it, but it is so game changing. Just this morning. So here's an example of a great technology that we've adopted that absolutely love, and this came from a company called Event Vesta that we have an investment in that's really, really growing. They promote events on behalf of really any organization. They could promote this podcast, for example. And you pay them a little fee and then they kind of handle it from there, right? Well, they do a lot of meetings, tons and tons of meetings and tons of demos with customers. And with AI, they've adopted a product called Fireflies. And what it is that all you do, and I signed up the other day myself, it's as simple as you go there, you create an account, you pay a few bucks, and it automatically embeds an AI note taker into your Zoom or Teams or Google Meet meetings, right? And this AI note taker comes on just like a participant. You don't have to do anything. It shows up automatically, and it just sits in the background. And you can turn it off if you want, if you're on something sensitive and you don't want the note taker to be on. But otherwise, it just, at the end of the meeting, you get a summary of everything that happened in the meeting. And if you want, you get a list of to-dos to send out to everybody, and it's done, right? I took that this morning from a meeting I had. I put it into ChatGPT, and I said, send a follow-up email to the person I was meeting with and emphasize these 3 things about the meeting. Bang, it was done. It's something that would have taken me 2 hours to do in the old world because I wanted to be real thoughtful about it, right? I wanted that follow-up email to be real thoughtful, and it just did it perfectly, just like that. And that's an example of a way to adopt AI right now for almost no money that I promise you every one of your customers, everybody listening here will absolutely love it if they try it.
We're a big Microsoft shop, and a lot of opportunities there. Obviously, they have their Copilot, that's kind of their AI, and now they have basically the same thing. And I have an app I run. It's called Decisions. So what it does is it looks at my calendar, it sees the meetings I have coming up, and then it'll look at the agenda, and then it will tell me. In Microsoft Teams, I'll get a message from Decisions that says, hey, this meeting is coming up. Here's the things you need to prepare for. And then if you're running your meeting on Teams, you can record, and then it will give you a summary of the meeting, and it will give you all that, but it also has the AI component, so you don't have to put it into ChatGPT. It already has the AI component.
I didn't know about that.
So but those are the types of things that I don't think a lot of people realize that are, if you're whether you're using Microsoft or you're using Google, those are technologies that are available to you, and you're probably paying for them. If you're not, you upgrade your license, which isn't that much more, and you get access to those technologies. So,
well, I mean, Microsoft is one hell of a company.
I mean, it's crazy.
The things that they've invented over all the years, and the fact, talk about a company that continually adopts the new technology, and even if it cannibalizes something old. I mean, I heard the Microsoft CEO talk recently on a podcast, and he was saying how when he started at Microsoft, he was an Excel product manager.
Oh, really?
And Excel is an amazing product, right?
It's been around for several decades now.
I use Excel all the time, right?
Every day.
And he basically said, Excel is nothing more than a database with an interface on top of it and a workflow. That's what it is. It's a database with an interface and a workflow. In the future, really right now, but very soon, you won't have to go to Excel and build out projections anymore. You'll simply say to Copilot, I want you to build projections for the next 5 years for my company. And you don't even have to say anything more than that. And it'll access this database in the background and this database in the background and this database in the background and pull those projections together and make them. And then you say, and give me 3 ideas for growing the business. And it will evaluate all those things. The old days of needing a controller to build you a massive spreadsheet with all these different tabs and linkages and macros and all this fancy stuff, right? Those days are about to be completely replaced. And it'll be better,
It'll be better.
Yeah.
It'll be more accurate.
Right.
In some ways. Now, the thing about AI, and
Yeah.
I'd love to get your take, but my take so far is, and I know there's a lot of fear that it's going to replace people and
Sure, it will.
replace careers. I think maybe someday, but right now, I just see it as a tool that people should use to make themselves better.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to make you a better person.
Sure.
It'll actually make you a better writer.
Yeah.
Because if you're writing an email in Microsoft, you can say, edit this for me, and it'll give you suggestions, and you can add them or not. But it's actually made me, it's been a long time since I've taken writing in English classes, right? But now I'm like, oh, yeah, I see what, I should have said that. So now I find myself actually using Copilot less to edit emails because my writing's gotten better just from that.
Sure.
But
let me give you a personal example of how AI is transforming my life right now. Okay. So a few years ago, a friend of mine who I knew from high school, who's a foodie, was talking to her, and we were talking about eating and stuff, and she was talking about how much she enjoys it. She said, what do you do with cooking and food? She goes, I told her, I have an iron gut. I can eat anything. I don't care. And she goes, Gordon, you are missing out on one of the great joys of life. Do you know how great it would be if you could enjoy food the way it's meant to be enjoyed? And I thought, that kind of sat with me a while. Then I have another friend who's the most amazing host in the universe, and he worked as a prep cook when he was in high school. He learned all these different things about how to make great foods. And when you go over to his house, he provides magical meals. They feel like magic, right? And they're just, you've had them before, you've been there. And we sit down and we eat this stuff, and it's got the perfect combination of temperature and crispiness and sweetness. And I always just thought it was magic. I thought, there's no way I could ever do that, right? I've never cooked.
You've never worked at a restaurant as a prep chef.
All I can make is grilled cheese sandwiches and a couple of eggs, But anyway, my boys had just started college. A couple of boys started college. One's a little bit older. They're now off on their own. And I'm like, what am I going to do to get these boys to come back? Because I want them to come home, right? Whenever they want. I think one thing I know is they love to eat, right? So what I started doing is I started using AI, and I use it in Hy-Vee. I would go to Hy-Vee and I say, the other day I decided I wanted to make buffalo chicken sandwiches. So I went on to AI and I said, what's the best recipe for buffalo chicken sandwiches, right? You don't go to the old-fashioned recipes that are full of ads and all this crap that try to get you to click it. And it's not clear and it doesn't really fit with your situation. I went to AI and I said, and I'm going to cook it on a gas grill, and I want to have it done in less than 45 minutes, right? Zoom, it gives me the perfect thing. And then I say, all right, how big should the chicken breast be? Zoom, it gives me exactly what they should be. I buy exactly that, right? I go home with all these ingredients. I follow the ingredient list. I bought it quick in Hy-Vee. I went straight home. I cut everything up to exactly what it said, 1/4 inch for this, right? I marinated it just like it said. I went out to the grill and I started to grill it, and I said, all right, now what's the perfect temperature and the perfect amount of time? And Zoom gave it to me. I start the counter on my clock. I'm telling you, I made the best buffalo chicken sandwiches, and the boys sat down and ate that, and they were just moaning with pleasure about how great it was. And I thought, I did this. I don't know how to cook, but I just made the most amazing thing. That's an example where AI is just transforming my personal life, and it's impacting the people around me.
Yeah. And it is so easy. And it's relatively inexpensive now to use it. Sure. It's relatively inexpensive. There's so many tools, but it goes back to whether it's your personal life or your business, the impact it can have, whether it's AI, any of these technologies that are out there now, and the integration. What I really love, some of the most fascinating things that we do are integrations between different technologies. And most everything now is cloud applications, which makes integration even easier, right? Whether you're integrating your POS with your QuickBooks, right? Or in our case, we're integrating Microsoft products with something with another application, or even building out a SharePoint site, integrating it with your Teams and Teams phones. Those are all things that on-premise phone systems now are basically become obsolete.
Right.
You think about that. And again, if you have Microsoft, you can turn that on and find a good technology partner like my business, and we can have you up and running in a short order. It's no longer this massive investment.
Well, and that gets into why you need a third party to help you, really, because at the end of the day, you're building your business. You know your business. You know your customers. You know what your customers need. You don't know. I mean, you're miles ahead of me on infrastructure technology, and even though I'm somewhat of a technology person, right? You're miles ahead of me. And if we didn't use your company at our place, like, we would be wasting countless amounts of time and energy and money.
Yeah.
And really more important than all that is focus, right? Because we need to spend our time on what matters for our business. And we need to hire the expert to bring in the infrastructure support, right? That we need. You know, security is another example. Like down in Ralston, where we run bushwhackers and we run, the rest of the granary, like, security is pretty important.
Very.
And you got to have a lot of cameras, and you got to have them at the right angles, and you got to be able to retrieve that stuff, because something happens on a weekend and then somebody wants video on Monday, right? Well, imagine the hassle if we tried to handle that ourselves, right? And this happens a reasonable amount of time in a place like ours that's retail, right? Once in a while, something will happen that the police have to get video on, right? To see, okay, this car was run into and they don't know who it was or whatever, right? But that's one thing that Prime Secured has killed it for us, and we couldn't be happier.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. Well, Gordon, it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time, and thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, been awesome.
Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. Investing in new technologies will create huge opportunities for your business. Don't get left behind. Check out the show notes for additional resources and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.